Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of Freedom Isn't Free, Guns Up. I'm your host, Sean L. Christ, a.k.a. Draven Steel, a.k.a. the American Outlaw. And, of course, accompanying me, the great one himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the walking rock star, JC Knight. JC, how the hell have you been, brother?
Man, I've been good. Like you said, it's been a little bit too long. Life happens, and I'm glad we're getting one of these done because we are long overdue, my friend.
Yes, sir, we are. Just things happen in life, man. It's just unfortunately you have a plan in action, but things come your way, and just like any good military member will do, you roll with the punches. When you knock down, you stand back up, and you fight through it. But the good thing about that is that the reason for the delay is that there's been a few things, at least in my life, and I'm pretty sure JC's life as well, that have been kind of coming to fruition and, starting to come together. For me, my backstory, real quick, I'll get more into that in another segment, but for right now, pretty much what happened is that when I got out of the Marine Corps, I got medical retired. And again, like any transitional person, no matter what you do, you try to figure out what's the next chapter. For me, I retired in 2015, and the first job I got was a manager at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Did that for 2 years, making decent money. But again, if your heart's not in something, you're not going to be successful. So I don't want to be a salesman for the rest of my life. So I resigned that way. Then I got a job working for a steel mill in Chicago, Illinois as a safety inspector because of all the OSHA certs that I had from Crash Fire Rescue. I did that, made great money doing that. But again, it wasn't something that my whole heart was in. It was just something to make a little bit extra money, fill the time. So we came together. I moved out here to Arizona. Love this place. Been loving it ever since I came out here in 2008. Spent time with my cousin and just pulled the trigger and finally bought a house out here. Took 1 year off once I bought the house. Got everything ready because my plan was to basically go to the next chapter, which is starting college. And as of last month, I got approved through Voc Rehabilitation to start on 22nd, going to Pima Community College and going to get the occupational therapy degree. So hopefully, if I can, God willing, is that when it's all said and done, I could be working at the VA here in Tucson and helping out all the other retired vets that come through that way, or they want help finding education, or they want to find help trying to basically transition back into civilian life, just do an everyday thing. So that's what's going on with me. I didn't realize how much was entailed in that. I didn't realize how much work I had to do in that, but now that's done, we're ready to rock and roll, and we're ready to move forth and conquer. JC, what's been going on with you, brother?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that your move to Arizona is working out. Secondly, though, those poor young kids on that college campus have no idea what they're getting ready to encounter. You're going to scare those kids to death.
Or maybe they'll get a little bit of thicker skin to know that there's an animal walking through that door. 35 years old, pull a fist and vinegar. I ain't got time to play around. I'm here to do big things. I'm here to succeed. If you want to join on, go ahead and jump on the bus. If not, get the hell out of the way.
Awesome. Speaking of road warrior animal, you kind of look like you got the mohawk and you got the little goatee going on. Look at that magic! Wow. So,
hey, it takes a minute to figure out who you are. And you know what? It's just one of those things. I was like, let's see what it is. So this is how I'm checking in, baby. Be ready. Look out, world.
Right
Here
on.
we go.
So yeah, man. You've got your timeline. Mine was those of you who didn't know, I retired just a little shy of 2 years ago, and made the conscious decision. You never second guess anything. To move back to my home state of West Virginia. I'm living about 30 minutes from where I grew up, and on a personal level, a lot of surprises. Had a contractor take me for a ride, steal a bunch of money from me from get-go when I was rebuilding an older home. You find your way through it. We're always ready to deal with adversity. You get through it, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. But I'm starting to settle in a little bit here, starting to get used to the culture. Interestingly, the guys I grew up with, I rarely see. I don't get to spend much time with those guys. We don't hang out much, but I actually hang out with two veterans. They're both Army guys. My good buddy Mike Kane, Shane Morse. Went to high school with them. We didn't run in the same circle. But the commonality with the veterans, it's good to have those guys close by. And I joke with them all the time. And the guys that you grow up with and you think, you're going to be tight with those guys the rest of your life. I could call them, and not that I ever would, but if I was to say, hey man, I'm stuck in a ditch and I need some help. They probably tell me to fuck off, and they were busy doing something else. Whereas if I call my two Army vet buddies and a few other veteran friends that I've made and said, hey, I'm stuck in a ditch and I need help, those guys would come help me, and I know it beyond a shadow of a doubt, just like my Marine brothers. So, personally, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's all starting to come together, man. I'm starting to adjust. On the professional front, things couldn't be any better. People follow me on Facebook. All my Marine brethren keep up with me. Carl Gustav is alive and well, and we've been making our rounds. As a matter of fact, last weekend, just came back from Fort Knox to do a brief to a Marine unit that was out in the field doing some training. So actually did a Carl Gustav brief from the back of a truck bed with a box full of ammo and the Carl Gustav. And, so that was pretty cool. So I haven't done that one yet.
For those looking at home, if you want to see a picture of JC doing this, I got to pull up right now. Look at this. Look at this manimal doing this. Just showing up, being professional, conducting business, and moving on.
You're going to break out a picture. Here
Look at this guy. There's JC Knight. There's his old good old F-150 or Chevy Silverado, whatever the hell it is. There's the weapons in the back, and there's the Marines with the undivided attention against what in the hell is this stand in front of me?
Yeah, what's cool is, not to get off track here, and I'll jump right back to what I've been getting into, but the gentleman that invited me out was Lieutenant Colonel Bellman, who was Lieutenant Bellman that relieved us in Camp Blessing outside of Nagalam. He invited me up, and we had such a good turnover that he thought to reach out to me. He's like, man, you're right next door in West Virginia. Why don't you bounce over here and give my guys a brief? So, hey, went to Enterprise, got my rental vehicle, threw the shit in the back of the truck, off we go. Have Marines will travel. So went out there and hit the brief. But rewind a little bit. The other things that have been going on back here in West Virginia, speaking of my veteran friends, my buddy Mike, who I'd mentioned, is the founder and president of the Freedom Float. You can find that on the web at freedomfloat.org. It's a veterans charity, nonprofit, that aids local veterans and supports veterans charities within the area. So predominantly West Virginia and special cases, places to the left and right, or veterans in need. So Mike got that off the ground. I've been glad to be able to help him out. And hell, I'm even also been elected as the vice commander of VFW Post 9097. So I got my little hat, and so it hadn't been too bad in that regard.
Oh, believe me, the viewers at home are watching right now, because you got 3 people in this picture I got brought up. It says Cold River Float benefits a vet. There's 2 individuals, and of course there's you standing on the right hand side in this. And what exactly was the Freedom Float?
Last year, my buddy Mike decided that he was going to do a float. He's a kayak enthusiast. So he floated down the river with what happened to be a bunch of veterans. And he tossed around the idea. He said, why don't we do this next year and try to make it something big where we can create a nonprofit that can support our local veterans? So I think we had it was well north of 200 people took part in the float. People float down the river, showing their patriotism. You've seen my kayak. I had Old Glory and the Marine Corps flag hanging off the back of mine, and starting to help people out. So veterans in need. So it's a great foundation, and it's all 100% of everything that goes into that is going to go back out to the veterans. So I'm glad I can support it, and I think Mike's doing a killer job. So hats off to you, Mike. I salute you.
That's awesome. That's really awesome, man. And there's one more thing I'm going to caveat on before JC kind of tells a bit more, because he's a humble man. But I'm going to bring up a picture here, and I want you to explain 2 things. A, who in the hell are you standing next to in the Patriot American flag cowboy hat, and how in the hell did this photo come to be? And you know damn well what I'm talking about.
I can't see the picture, so you got to show it to me.
You know damn well who it is. Who did you go and see? And just by some whim, you got to be in his trailer, drinking beer with him, and just having a good time.
Oh man! So this is kind of a funny story. So they have something here in West Virginia called the Peck Fest. Peck Fest is about 15 miles down the road, close to a place called Point Pleasant. For all the viewers out there, I've heard of Point Pleasant. Well, that's where the Mothman lives. The Mothman prophecies, right? It's out in the big fields where they had Peck Fest. So first night of Peck Fest, they had Buck Cherry opening, and they had Brett Michaels as the headliner. So I'm standing out there in the cheap seats, drinking $6 Yinglings, as I do, and all of a sudden I see that Brett gets up there and he starts playing, and good concert, man. And he pulls a bunch of veterans up there, and he says, I want to give a shout out to my cousin Bobby, and he says hoorah. And I said, well, obviously his cousin is a Marine. And he goes, if you want to see Bobby, he's over at the merchandise table. Well, shit, I was a stone's throw from the merchandise table. I'm sitting there drinking my beer, and I look right over. I'm like, yep, that's him. That's a jarhead. And I walk over and talk to him, like, Semper Fi, man. He's like, hey, what's going on? And we started exchanging stories. Purple Heart veteran artilleryman that served in Vietnam with 12th Marines. So we started exchanging stories, and he said, hey, you guys want to go back and meet Brett? And of course, my wife, her cousin, they're all starstruck. They're like, yeah, we'll go. So, and everybody asked, like, well, how did you pull that off, JC? You know everybody. I'm like, it's a Marine brother. That's how it rolls. So yeah, we went back, talked to Brett, and what a super nice guy, man. Very cordial, very respectful of veterans. Just a nice guy, man. He was really cool. So it was nice meeting him, and heck, who knows? Maybe I'll see him again. I'd have a good time just pulling up with a cooler at the merchandise table, talking to his cousin Bobby. That was pretty cool. So yeah, man, good times.
I tell you what, man, it's always interesting to see what you're doing, and like I said before, JC he's not a man to toot his own horn. He's not a man to pretty much talk about the great things he's had. But God, you have an absolutely interesting life, and you're doing everything that you love to do. It's like I said, it's absolutely a privilege just to stay in contact with you over the years and just basically stay in touch and do kind of crazy stuff like this, because you always got an amazing story down the pipe. But
man, well, listen, before we go on, before I forget this, because we had talked a little bit about coming on here and doing some top 5, top 10 lists. Before I go into professionally where I'm at with what's been going on with all my stuff with Carl Gustav, AT4 camouflage, all that, we got a top 5 list for you. Things to be wary of in the great state of West Virginia that I have learned since I have moved back here to God's country. Number 1, if we were to put out a BOLO list, for those of you out there who know what a BOLO is, that's be on the lookout. If there was one vehicle in West Virginia that would be on the BOLO list, it is the Buick Regal, be it from 85 to 2005. You see the Buick Regal, you need to steer clear, because number 1, if it's the blue hair driving, they probably still shouldn't have a license. So stay clear of the Buick Regal. If that Buick Regal's beat to death and there is an overly skinny, passed out white guy in the passenger seat and a really overweight woman driving it and smoke coming out the window, stay clear of the Buick Regal. I have yet, and yes, I'm profiling. I have yet to see a Buick Regal roll down the road that I don't say, man, I better get the fuck away from this thing, because there is nothing good about rolling beside that car. So, Sean, number 1, if you're in WV, you see a Buick Regal, buddy, you better get in the passing lane and get around it fast, because there's nothing good there.
Let me go ahead and write that down if I ever find my way going through your country.
Absolutely. Look out for the Buick Regal. Number 2, if I ever get into politics here, I would like to be able to get a tax break if we could hit meth heads that roll around on bicycles. Now, most states you go to, people use bicycles for exercise. In West Virginia, you're going to see little skinny guys, certainly nobody like you or me, riding on a bicycle, particularly a BMX. If you see that guy with his shirt off with a backpack and a bunch of jailhouse tattoos, he's also a problem. Stay away from skinny, tatted out white guys that look like a damn poor man's Eminem on a bicycle. That guy's no good, and you don't need to get shit on your bumper. So stay away from that guy.
I'm feeling a lot of passion here in this top 5. Go ahead.
These are just observations, and I think they're all fair. Again, we're open to commentary and open to criticism. If you want to hit us with it, come on. Number 3, I've noticed here that people ride their lawnmowers to the local store.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
I've seen them with trailers with people in the back of them. I've seen them with stereo systems hooked to them. I've seen a number of things. The other day, I was given a certain 1%er biker shirt that a good friend in Florida gave to me. And I was cutting my grass in said name shirt, and I had to turn around and go across the street on my mower. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh, shit, I'm wearing colors, and I'm on a riding lawnmower. I might get knifed, have a shank put in me. Who knows? But I was quick to get my John Deere back across the street. Also, what else I'm noticing? You grew up in Ohio, so you're kind of close to WV. I have found a culture with people where you have the third or fourth generation of families that live in the same spot and live off the same government programs, and it's always somebody else's fault. I'm going to get that check. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. Find the old lady that's got the EBT card. You trade currency and EBT and pills and all this crap. Man, white trash frustrates the shit out of me. So, people don't know how to break the cycle. And it's very interesting. I come from some scummy roots, man. Both my parents were scumbags. They've both since passed on. But drugs, alcohol, selfishness, what can you do for me type of attitude. There comes a point when you become an adult, and I'm not going to tie an age to that, but you realize, hey, this isn't the path that I want to go, and I'm going to go make something of myself, and I'm going to try to do better. So I think everybody has that in them. It's like, okay, this isn't right. I think we know right from wrong, and when I see those people that just continue to do that generation after generation, they perpetuate the problem. There's got to be incentive for people to not suck, and this state's had a hard time finding that. So, but on the flip side of that, there are some magical people from West Virginia. The top 15 or 20% of people I meet in West Virginia are amazing. It's like there's no middle ground. There's no average people. There's either a really, really great people or people that are absolute dog shit. So there's my number 4 in a roundabout way. And then number 5, biscuits and gravy. If you're driving through West Virginia, go to Tudor's Biscuit World. It's amazing. So doesn't do anything for your waistline, but it makes you feel good in your heart and your head.
Let me tell you with this. So, again, helping people out throughout the years and just being there for people. I know exactly what Tudor's Biscuit World is because it's right there next to the damn county jail. Am I right? Because if you go there, there's probably a Tudor's within a mile of every county jail in every county in West Virginia. But if you go there, you gotta get the coal miner's biscuit. That's what they swear by, and that's what they're known for. Am I right or wrong?
The miner. Yeah, I'm not sure what goes on that one. I usually go with the shaved ham melt, add an egg. So that's my thing. So if you want to know what the Breakfast of Champions is for JC Knight, hey, I go with the shaved ham melt, add an egg. That's my thing. So there's my joke about West Virginia. I'm back here. We do have a professional sports team, the Mountaineers.
What is the Mountaineers? What kind of sports team is that?
They're a college football team, Sean. Come on, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a Big Ten guy. All we know is Ohio State. Buckeyes are life, brother. If it ain't Big Ten, it ain't shit.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But hey, real quick, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back to you with more entertaining stuff on the podcast right now. So we'll see you in a few.